Hungry, depressed, tired, discouraged? Is this how you find
Maybe
yourself?
you're in need of a little scarfing down of the word of the Lord.
Today I want to talk about discernment of the voice of the Lord. Knowing the voice of the Holy Spirit within us is a huge weapon in our arsenal of this thing that we call spiritual warfare. I can't possibly be called by the Lord in the direction that He is calling me to go along the narrow way if I do not clearly know how to discern His voice from that of the world. And so today we are going to jump into the story of blind Bartimaeus. And this comes out of Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. And they say, "And so they reached Jericho. Later, as Jesus and his disciples left town, a great crowd was following. A blind beggar named Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, was sitting beside the road as Jesus was going by. When Bartimaeus heard that Jesus from Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout out, 'Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me.' 'Be quiet,' some of the people yelled at him, but he only shouted all the louder, 'Son of David, have mercy on me.' When Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, 'Tell him to come here.' So they called the blind man. 'Cheer up,' they said. 'Come on, he's calling you.' Bartimaeus threw aside his coat, jumped up, and came to Jesus. 'So what do you want me to do for you?' Jesus asked. 'Teacher,' the blind man said, 'I want to see.' And so Jesus said to him, 'Go your way, your faith has made you well.' And instantly the blind man could see. Then he followed Jesus down the road." Bartimaeus did not allow discouragement to deter him from his purpose. So what can I discern from this? If discouragement is evidently attempting to make its way into this space, then it is high time that I reevaluate my relationship with the Father, because this vessel should be so overfilled, so overspilling with His Spirit that the resulting and surrounding flood of His presence should drown out any attack of the enemy attempting to draw near to it. Learning discernment of the Holy Spirit results from an active pursuit of drawing nearer to the Father. You see, I am meant and made to reflect His glory. This is the character, nature, or the very essence or heartbeat of who God is. And if I am to find myself in line with the rhythm of who Christ is in me, then it stands to reason that my ear ought to be inclined so close to His chest that I recognize the very ebb and flow of His breath, becoming so comfortable in this space that the nature of my movement instinctively flows with His. This learning to move as He moves, to walk as He walks, is the same as learning to be in the light as He is in the light. And this growing trust, it requires steps that we call faith. And I would argue the bigger the better. If it challenges this flesh, then take that step. Opposition of the enemy can be a fair compass for the aim of your kingdom identity. And so if the aim of your eye places you in direct opposition of the enemy and the way that this world says is right, then I would argue that the aim of your eye is very likely rightly focused on the light. The fact is, you are supposed to be different than the world. You are made to be a light, meant to cut through the darkness. So then take up your birthright and shine who it is He is in you. Be intentional about your relationship. Actually and actively believe what it is you say you believe, and find yourself changed by Him. Because, and hear me when I say this, you cannot find yourself in His presence daily and also remain in a way that this world has trained you in. It is not possible to be continually filled with His presence and also still suffer from an overwhelming attraction to sin and death. Your heart will bleed exactly what it is you feed it. And so if you are unchanged in your ways, then there is an immediate need to realign your aim. What it means is something is missing, and there is a cost to this, and not just for you. And if the first place that your mind just went was on you when it comes to this cost, then you may need to do some serious spiritually relational readjusting. Because as a believer, there is something that you must understand. What Christ paid for was to get your focus off of yourself and realigned with motives of truth and love, evidenced in your life by a clear expression of self-sacrifice. And if you fail in this, you should ask yourself, who holds your place against the darkness? Who then stands in the gap, holding your candle, lighting the way for those who are meant to cross your path? For those intended to see the light of Christ in you and have their light also ignited by your growing fire. You see, Christ did not just die to have His image restored in you so that you could just only keep it for yourself. In fact, that idle pursuit is in direct opposition of the gospel. The will of his sacrifice was that you express his glory through you so that others might also be saved. And you should know that it is the active pursuit of loving the Lord our God first and before all else that positions and enables us to move in this way, to love our neighbors as ourselves. Christ offered himself as a sacrifice for our sake to restore the image of God in us. And it is our responsibility to grow in knowing exactly what he looks like in and through us. And if there is still any question as to what the expression of this looks like in our lives, then let's take a look at what Jesus' closest disciple has to say about it. 1 John 4:8 says, "He who does not love does not know God, for God is love," which means you cannot know him and not be changed by him. And so if God is love, then intimacy with him must result in the evidence of that love flowing through your life. When the fruit that you bear starts to resemble discouragement or fear or any other counterfeit of the truth, that is a sign, a clear sign that the aim of your eye must be realigned with the one who has called you to shine. We have never, nor will we ever be called only to receive the truth of who Christ is. What we have been and will always be called to do is be the truth of Christ. Why, you might ask? Well, someone else's destination, and hear me on this, someone else's destination rests on your surrendered transformation. And this is what Christ modeled for us, a seed meant to be reproduced through us for the growth of new life in others. Yet the world will try to convince you that walking the narrow path is bizarre, uncertain, or even an unstable way. But I am here to tell you that the narrow way, though unfamiliar to the flesh, is the only path that is set on a truly firm foundation. So do not be deceived by the false safety of what you can only see with your natural eyes, for it is the very nature of God in you that is what is meant to guide you. God never required that you see every step before you obey him. In fact, just the opposite is true. What he does require of you is that you incline your ear to his voice, allowing the Holy Spirit to serve as your eyes to guide your every step. So then I say, rise to his call, shed what does not belong, and follow him in truth and in love.